The king actually kept a flea as his beloved pet, and because of this flea, his own daughter would one day be forced to marry a wild man. Every day, the king pricked his finger and fed the flea with his own blood. Under the king's careful care, the flea grew bigger and bigger. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye, and the flea had become the size of a monster. The king was thrilled. But because it grew so unnaturally large, the flea soon fell ill. The king immediately called for a doctor, but the moment the doctor walked in and saw the creature, he froze in fear. With no idea how to treat something like this, the doctor could do nothing, and the flea eventually died. Soon after, the king's daughter reached the age of marriage, but she had no idea what kind of man she wanted to marry. That's when the king came up with a plan. He had the flea's skin removed and summoned the strongest men in the entire kingdom. Whoever could identify what kind of skin it was would become the princess's husband. The first man to try was a farmer. He examined the hide carefully, plucked one of its hairs, and confidently declared it was boar skin.
No!
The princess quietly let out a sigh of relief, because if anyone answered correctly, she would have to marry him. The second man was an old scholar. He pulled out a magnifying glass, studied it for a long time, and then announced that it was tree bark. The princess looked nervously at her father, but the king shook his head. Then a knight stepped forward. The princess clearly liked him, but unfortunately, he also guessed wrong. And that's when a rough-looking wild man stepped up. He had lived in the forests his whole life and had a sharp, animal-like sense of smell. He simply leaned in, sniffed the hide, and said, "This is flea skin." The answer sounded ridiculous, but the king's smile instantly disappeared. The wild man was right. The princess froze on the spot. The very next morning, the wild man took the princess with him. They crossed cliffs and mountains until they reached his cave deep in the wilderness. Overcome by desire, the wild man forced the princess into his dwelling and took her against her will.